Elaine, the CapeCod.com News Center, joined by a special guest from Cape Cod 5 Cent Savings Bank. Do you mind introducing yourself for our listeners?
Yes, this is Bert Talerman. Pleasure to be here with you today, Grady.
All right, awesome. So I have been, you are the recipient of the 2024 Visionary Award from the Cape Islands United Way. That is awesome. Congratulations. Do you mind just kind of giving us your quick reaction to from the news when you got the call from Mark, essentially?
Sure. Thank you. Pretty easy. My reaction was one of complete shock. And I think I remember telling Mark that it was about the last thing I was ever expecting him to be calling about. I thought he was calling to pick my brain on something,
Wow.
and obviously very humbled to be considered for something like that. And my real reaction is, it's a reflection of, all the wonderful people who I work with, both here at the bank, as well as folks I've had the opportunity to work with on various boards over the years. And maybe that's part of it, that I've been working here for a very long time. So again, I've had the pleasure of working with so many great people, and it really is a reflection of that. I've been very fortunate.
That's awesome. Now it's actually really interesting that you introduce it with saying like, "Oh, I thought he was going to pick my brain for something," because it just goes to show that you're ready to go, sharing some kind of knowledge, get the communication channels open. It's really interesting. You say plugged in essentially, and you'll have conversations, chat with other business leaders on Cape Cod. Essentially, is that your MO?
Yeah, well, again, very fortunate to be in a role that I'm in, where I have the opportunity to interact with so many people, and get to learn from so many people, and obviously, by taking some of that in, and some of the data and information that we have, both here at the bank, as well as stuff you one gets through industry sources, able to build collaboration in that way. And that obviously is a wonderful part of the job, to get to have that interaction with so many people.
All right, awesome. Now, as well, you've got experience with the Cape and Islands United Way. The Visionary Award is all about kind of highlighting the people that are plugged in and helping out the community. Do you mind talking a little bit about like what you think the role of nonprofits is on Cape Cod? Cape Cod has one of the highest densities of nonprofits per like square mile in like the nation. I think it's like over 200 nonprofits on the Cape and Islands. So, with that in mind, can you talk a little bit about the benefits that come with that, or what you think the role is of some groups of that nature?
Yeah, I mean, I always say we're fortunate to live in an area where there are so many people who care about many different things, right? And those nonprofits span a wide variety, and ultimately all, focused on trying to enhance life here in some way, shape, or form. And again, I think that is one of the things that makes this place special, is the way folks attach themselves to the area, and care about the area. And again, those attachments and carings take on many different forms of area of interest. And again, trying to get folks to work together and collaborate is always the ultimate goal.
All right, awesome. Now, do you mind just telling me a little bit about like how long have you been in the industry? Essentially, you were at the Cape and Islands United Way, Cape Cod 5 now. Can you talk a little bit more about some of your other experiences and just how long you've been on the Cape plugged in like this?
Sure. So I've been basically been a banker my entire adult working life. Worked a number of years in Boston, and then moved to the Cape in 1994, and took a job at the old Cape Cod Bank and Trust. Some might remember Cape Cod Bank and Trust, which morphed into to TD. Spent a few years there as well, and then I've been at the Cape Cod Five for the last 17 years. My how does someone who grew up in Chicago end up on the Cape is probably an interesting question. My wife grew up is a Barnstable High School grad, as are my kids. Actually, as was my father-in-law, and so my wife, strong roots here in Barnstable. We're spending a lot of time on the Cape, and had an opportunity to move here and raise our family here, and it's been a great place to live and work. And so again, I've been fortunate in that I have now been living and working here for 30 years, and most of that time in roles that allowed me the opportunity to interact with a lot of folks and get to learn a lot about the community.
Wow, that is wonderful. Was it like the Chicago, like, city proper or, like, out in the suburbs? Like, where were you? And you don't need to give me
I
your address or anything, but
Yeah,
how
yeah.
urban to old Cape Cod, I'm sure might have been
Yeah,
a
no,
big change for you.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was a city kid, grew up in the city. My dad was a professor at the University of Chicago, so grew up in that South Side Chicago neighborhood. And now as much as it's nice to visit the city once in a while. I don't think I can really imagine myself living anywhere other than this great environment that has been home for so long at this point.
You were made for it, Bert. The sunshine, the beaches, that is wonderful. What's some of the biggest changes that you've experienced, or rather just like, stuff that's different between the 2 communities?
I mean, I think the one of the wonderful things about this community is, again, back to that piece about how connected people feel to this place. Not that, living in the city, you're very tied to your specific community in the city, and you certainly identify with the city, maybe to a degree. Here, there is that strong sense of place, and that ability to be connected to a variety of folks in the community, which I think is a little bit maybe more challenging in a larger urban environment.
Yeah, I understand. I'm from Eastham, very small town, and I had people congratulating me on my recent engagement, whom I did not know. I'd never met before, and I was very impressed at how much how information can quickly travel. But very supportive nonetheless, and I'm very thankful for that. So it's very interesting. So we're moving into the summer season now. We got Memorial Day weekend. That's the unofficial start of the summer season for the Cape and Islands. I mean, what better way is to clarify essentially? So how does that shift for you in the banking world? You guys got to ramp up for the summer, like just like ice cream shops and many of the other businesses around here do, or is it a little bit more of a gradual change? Is there any change at all? What's on the docket as of late for you in the workspace?
Yeah, great question, and a fun one to answer. In some ways, you look at Memorial Day, and you look at the kind of the 5 months that go before that, and maybe some of the more challenging months around here from a weather standpoint. And now we hit the summer season. Summer followed by fall, all of which are very very good busy times around here. In terms of our business, we are obviously extra busy, especially in the banking services areas, to help support the busy summer season. A lot more business happening around here, a lot more cash changing hands, and so that's one part of it. It's also the time of year when at the bank we welcome our and this year it's actually 61 to be exact. Last year it was right over 50 summer interns who join our team here, and all college students, all with kind of a focus in study that ties into what we do here, and those interns do real work here for the summertime, and get a great experience and add a lot to the environment here for us, and obviously are important and a part of that summer ramp up in order to be able to keep up with some of the summer busyness, especially in those banking centers.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, so I mean, do you think it's a high competition? You know, if people want to work for Cape Cod 5 down on Cape Cod, down for the Cape Cod season, down by. Do you think it's a? Do you think we're think you guys get a little bit of a leg up over other banks in other areas because of that fact?
I think what we've been able to build out is a very desirable internship program, and again, our interns do real work, highly competitive at this point. I think acceptance rate for interns is less than 1 in 10 based on the applicant pool, and obviously, like you said, the opportunity to what's better if you can spend the summer on Cape Cod and have ties here, because usually that obviously goes hand in hand, because you either grew up here or you have family here, so you have housing here, and to have a real job experience coupled with that. So we're fortunate we're able to offer that, and again, we're fortunate to have all our interns for the summer, because they're a real plus for us.
That's definitely great to hear. I mean, it is always good to have the interns like getting them in an actual experience. The point is, of course, to put them to work and really kind of taste what it's like. Do you meet with them yourself? Are you kind of plugged into the educational sphere? Do you kind of have a more of an educational band in terms of that opportunity? I know I, for one, I did tutoring before I worked in the radio industry. So I personally love being able to get that hands-on experience and helping lead people along. But what's your take essentially in this educational portion of what you do?
I mean, I think, well, one, all the kind of all the senior managers around here take turns meeting with the interns and talking about our different areas of work, as well as our background and our career path and the like. And then on top of that, we provide a bunch of educational experiences for them as well. Uh, I, uh, I I think I certainly have a little bit of pedantic in me. I enjoy the teaching part of the job. It is, again, I think, you think back on the people who were good to you when or when I was early in my career, and to this day. I mean, every day you're learning something from someone, and so to the extent that you can help someone else learn something that makes them better or more effective or happier in some way, shape, or form, that's that is also what it's all about. And one of the things that is very important in our business, as well as probably most businesses, is the ability to bring talent along, and obviously it's a very competitive market these days, and especially so on Cape and Islands. And so being able to make sure that we provide an environment where people feel there's opportunity, where people are learning, and again, where we ourselves are learning, is I think very important all around.
Mhm. Now, it's very interesting. If you don't mind, I would love to kind of just run through some of the other credentials as part of this award, but I want to ask about how it kind of plays into your current stuff now. You're serving as president of the Kelly Foundation, I believe, currently, but you've also served as a board member for Cape Cod Healthcare, Barnstable County Mutual Insurance Company. I believe you've also been part with the Cape Cod Chamber of Commerce, as well as the Coastal Community Capital. If any of those are wrong, please correct me, but you've got a wide breadth of experience here. Now, also talking about like the interns and stuff. Do you think you have like a little bit of a leg up, kind of being able to show people all these different experiences that you've had in other industries? And you mentioned the job portion as well. We've been experiencing a tremendous amount of effort at the state level trying to retain people for living in the state in general. A lot of people moving out, but at Cape Cod especially. But have you been what have you been seeing in terms of how much things have changed over the past few years? Do you think that you've got a little bit of you've seen the Cape from so many different angles, essentially? Is it been tough? Have things gotten a bit harder? Do you think that we need to kind of change the way we do some of our industries to help retain? What are some of the lessons or maybe even questions that have come up in your time here on the Cape?
I mean, I think goes without saying that in the time that I have been living and working here, the Cape has changed an awful lot, and part of that is it's a pretty 3 decades. A lot happens in 3 decades, right? Um, I remember when we moved here, housing was, relatively affordable, as opposed to today where housing is relatively unaffordable, and maybe that's an understatement. Um, and and of course, it was the economy was very different back then, and there was ample labor force for the needs, and that of course has flipped completely as well. I think when you look at what's happened in not just the Cape but in Greater Boston, just the tremendous transformation that's taken place over the last 30 years in terms of Boston becoming such a center of excellence. You think of the biotech industry, the higher ed, the the kind of the high end development that's taken place in Greater Boston, and the central artery, all of that, just the way Boston and surrounding communities have changed, and have kind of become significantly wealthier than they used to be, and that has happened here as well. And then you look at how many of our challenges on the Cape, they might be magnified here, and at the same time they're challenges across most of the state. And then so our housing challenges are, it's all of eastern Massachusetts. In fact, it's all the way into central Mass. And yes, it's magnified here, but kind of that makes the challenge even more heightened in some ways, in terms of how do we get um, housing that works for people, kind of all across the state. And as I always say, everything is competitive, and people have choices. So we need to make sure that as a state and as a region, we are competitive and desirable, and competitive and desirable to everybody, because it's not enough to only be competitive and desirable for kind of second homeowners, because second homeowners need services. We everybody needs medical care, everybody needs fire, everybody needs police, and on and on. So we are in some ways we've been extremely successful in this region. This region has become so much more desirable from a global brand standpoint than it was 30 years ago. And so now we need to find ways to kind of to backfill, to make sure that we continue to stay desirable, and at the same time have diverse choices, so that people who are regular people can have careers here, and can live here, and have it all work.
Yeah. I mean, we have a lot of the brand based around like, oh, sleepy old Cape Cod, like the hometown for America kind of situation, similar to Plymouth. But we have people that are like international travelers that are coming from like Europe and farther abroad. Now, recently, Cape Cod Chamber of Commerce also rebranded with the idea that this is going to be something that we need to think about going forward. What I mean, I might get you in trouble with Paul Nidzwicki. I don't know, but like, what do you think of that rebranding? Do you think that's the right choice? Do you think that we need to kind of maintain that small hometown aesthetic? How does that play in with the globalization of the market, and especially the hospitality industry that we've been seeing? If you want to say it's a bad rebrand, I won't hold it against you. If you think it's the best thing ever, then we'll call it Paul right now, and we'll get him on, and we'll talk we'll talk about it. But what do you think? How does that play in essentially?
I think Paul's a friend, and I think the rebrand's terrific, and kind of as a past chair of the board of the chamber, I think the chamber's doing a lot of very good work, and I think it's important to stay focused on kind of where the world is and where the world is going, as opposed to kind of where you wish the world was. Goals are important, but it's important to be realistic as well. And again, I think the rebrand makes a lot of sense, and I think the reality is that the Cape Cod today is very different from, and the entire I can think of many things, even that we deal with here at work, that say 5 years ago would never even have come up.
Oh, wow.
But in the post-pandemic world, where patterns have changed, work habits have changed, uh, you have to look at things very differently. And again, that ability to work remote for folks, um, that was something that I think once upon a time people were hoping folks would adopt here, and now it's real, and and that means you see many more people around, much more time of the year. The place is busier, and of course it increases the competition for housing and a variety of other things. But again, you can't turn the clock back on that. That's the way. Again, the pandemic changed things in certain ways, and the world is where it is.
Mhm. We've been seeing so many efforts to try and expand affordable housing. There's Maurice's Campground. Studio G is taking over that to try and build it in a way that's going to be community focused. So it's actually useful for year round and the things are there to do essentially. You can't just turn like the town can't just shut off once we hit November. This is not possible,
Right.
not feasible, especially now. Provincetown has been doing, I believe, the rebates for people who are willing to rent to local as opposed to just the short term. So trying to subsidize essentially. So there's a lot more effort, and it's interesting to see where we go. So as well, but we're about coming up on time, but you are going to have you're going to be recognized, especially at the upcoming. Trying to make sure I get the name appropriate, but there's going to be the Cape and Islands United Way. They have their best night gala set for Friday. That is June 28th at the Pelham House in Dennisport. Are you excited for that? Are you going to be able to kind of participate in the festivities? And how do you feel about dancing? Essentially, is what I'm going to be my next question. Is I got my two left feet, but maybe you're better than I. So are you excited for that event as well?
I will defer on my dancing. I don't, we all have things we wish we were good at. I wish I was a good dancer. I wish I could sing. I wish I had musical talent. I unfortunately do not have any of those. Um, but it's a great event, great time to connect with lots of people, and again the opportunity to spend time with different people is always kind of a gift. The the attention on me, maybe not so much of a gift, but it's like I said, it's an honor, it's a privilege, and it's really a reflection of, again, all the wonderful people that I get to work with, the company that I get to represent, and so many people who I have gotten to work with, in the past. Everything's a team effort. No one does. I mean, some people do things by themselves, but I mean, in terms of kind of my life, everything's a team effort.
Mhm. Bert, I am noticed I've only known you and been able to talk with you for a short while now, about 25 minutes, but it does seem like you have a through line of networking, essentially. You think that's an important piece of, well, I mean, the industry that you're in especially, but do you think everybody could stand to maybe be able to just talk with more people from other industries and maybe outside their normal spheres?
Yeah, I think more friends is better than less friends. The more people can have conversations and find common ground, try to solve challenges together in a constructive way, the way we do in business, day in, day out, right? You might not all agree on everything. You find a way to get things done. That that is that's a good thing, and I think that's something that we have in this community to a great extent. We have, lots of people who are willing to work together to try to solve challenges and do the right thing.
All right, awesome, Bert. Thank you so much for joining me for this conversation. I really appreciate it. Once again, congratulations. And is there anything else you want our listeners to know about while I still have you? Maybe some words of encouragement for people looking to get started in the industry and with maybe Cape Cod 5 in the future.
Well, you said it. I mean, and we are always looking for good people. We are there are tons and tons of opportunities in the banking industry. It's really a customer service and taking care of people and helping people industry, and no one should feel as though that's not something they can do. So we're happy to talk to anybody we can talk to, and like I said. Um, Great to spend the time with you, Grady, and appreciate it very much.
All right, awesome. I'm Grady Cullen in the CapeCod.com News Center, and thank you for listening.